you probably know that letters are divided up into different categories like vowels and consonants, right?
Right.
Okay, so numbers are also divided into different categories, and I'm going to show you what it's like. Okay, in this box, I have different boxes, kind of like nesting dolls. Okay, I'm going to set the lids over here. Okay, so we have 4 boxes, and in the very smallest one, it goes inside all the other boxes, right?
Right.
Right. Okay, so this little box, could this green box go in this box?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you that there are 4 different categories that we're going to talk about today. And this orange little box, can you tell me what numbers did you start counting with? When you learned how to count, what numbers did you start counting with?
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so those are called your natural numbers or counting numbers. Those are the numbers that you learned the very, very first thing. Those natural numbers go in this orange box. Okay? In the next numbers, what is the next number that you learned? The next number that you learned was probably 0, right?
Right.
Okay, so in this one, it's called whole number. These are the whole numbers. And so do natural numbers fit into whole numbers?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So you have your natural numbers, and in whole numbers, the only number in whole numbers is 0. So you have all your natural numbers and 0. So pretty much all of your positive whole numbers go into natural and whole. And then what's the next thing that you learn? Do you remember?
Half numbers.
You learn negatives. Okay? Negatives, they're called integers. An integer is a natural number and its opposite. So, and do natural numbers and whole numbers fit inside of integers?
Yes.
Okay, so keep that in mind. And then after that, after you learn negatives, you probably learned fractions and decimals. Those are called rational numbers. And everything that's a natural number, that's a whole number, that's an integer, they are all rational numbers. Okay? And remember, a rational number can't be a natural number. Okay? You can only go out. So, I handed you earlier a sheet that looks like this. And this is going to go in your interactive notebook for your notes. And we are going to label what each of these parts are. I've labeled it up here, and it's just my boxes, just exactly how we did earlier. And so if you would, write with me, what was this very, very center block? Do you remember what the orange block was?
Natural numbers.
Natural. Okay, and then after you learn natural, you learn what number?
Whole numbers.
What number was it? 0, and that was under whole. Okay? And then you learn natural numbers opposites, and so what was that called?
Negative numbers or integers.
Integer. And then after integer, what was the biggest box that everything else fell into?
Rational.
Rational. Okay. So now we're going to talk about where numbers fall here. Okay. So what did we talk about? What was the only number in whole numbers?
Zeros.
0. That's the only thing in whole numbers. So what about a number like 36? Where does that fall?
Natural.
Natural. Okay, so 36 would be in there. Anything positive whole number would be a natural number. But what about a rational number? What about like 2.3? Would that be rational? Yes, it would be. All right. And then what, can you tell me what an integer would be? That's a whole number and its opposite. And so what's an integer?
-8.
-8. Good job. Okay, so I also handed you a sheet that looked like this, and you have to check every one that is that it. You have to check every box that it falls under. So 36 is a natural number, but is it also a whole number?
Yes.
And is it also an integer?
Yes.
Is it also rational?
Yes.
Okay, so you would check all of the boxes for that. But there's one thing that we need to talk about real quick. In the rational, okay, this is a rule for a rational number. Rational numbers are fractions and terminating and repeating decimals. So, have you ever seen a decimal that looks like this? And it goes on and on and on and on and on with threes.
Yes.
And then have you ever seen somebody say, okay, well that's repeating, so we're going to put a little hat on it. Okay, so that falls under rational. But if you have a number like pi, okay, and pi is 3.14, and it goes on and 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 on, and it never ends. That is not a rational number because it does not terminate or repeat. A terminating decimal would be like 0.25, and that's it. That would be considered rational. So if you would like, go ahead and this will be homework if you don't finish it today. So you are free to work on this homework.